So let's record and let's, I said before everyone joined to speak in English because we had some people applying from our regions. So for the webinar to be in English. So welcome and thank you for the interest for the relatively new ICF Advanced Team Coaching Accreditation. So it's me and Milena here with you. We announced Mariana as well. She got sick. There is in Serbia, there's viruses going around, so quite a number of people are sick. So she will not be able to join. But basically, her and Milena's paths towards accreditation are the same, and then mine is different. So kind of between Milena and I think you can get all of our experiences, let's say. So as we said, we didn't prepare anything. We don't have a Miro for this. We prepared some, we have our notes and the process that we went through and some links and so on to the application. But basically, we wanted to address the questions that you have. So
in other words, please shoot. Whatever questions you have, you can open a mic or just write in the chat box and we will go from one to another.
So what brought you here? I guess that would be the question.
I have a fairly specific question. So I found that there are different ways to get your certification, clearly. So I'm not sure which one to go for. And I can share what I saw, but I don't know. I'm assuming it'll also take like me knowing what requirements I do meet and which ones I don't. I guess the main question is, yeah, okay. First question is, how do you choose which path to take?
Great.
It's a great
question.
It's
a very
logical question.
That's the first step, yes. If we were going to start, if you had no questions, we would have started with that. So thanks, Teja.
Yeah, so, well, I can start with this. There are three pathways. One pathway, which I will mention it just for the first, but then we won't discuss this one that much because it considers people who have really, really huge experience in team coaching and who went like decades ago in some certificative programs. And it's very specific pathway. I believe since most of you right now are our alumni, you don't consider this pathway, but it's possible for even people who practice team coaching for decades and more to go through specific path and obtain this one. Maybe I should share ICF website, so it's easier for us to I'm sorry.
May as well give you a link for others who didn't. I know that Sneža, you are there, but let me send, maybe you can save and we might be sending afterwards as well some documents, but this is the link where it's where yes. Milena went. I'll send it in a chat.
Yes, I will share right now. So this is the page where you see which kind of pathways there are. So this is the page about ACTC. And this is general eligibility. And these are the pathways. Option 3 is this one, which is called credit for prior learning. So for people who are super experienced, but maybe did not go through the programs which have some ICF or other certifications, which today we won't be talking only if some of you really want to dive deeper, but in general, we don't have that much experience with this one. And then we have this one, which is mostly, I guess, something of the topic for us today. This is option 2, called option 2. It's for all the people who completed advanced accreditation in team coaching. Any education which has this AATC logo, which is for all coaching center alumni. It's advanced team coaching program that some of you took has this AATC program. So for you, Sneža, that would be this one. And this is the pathway that Tijana took, and she will explain in depth for those after your questions, or if someone wants to right now. But this is something that Tijana will share. And then there is this one for people who have 60 hours of team coaching education, but not necessarily from the programs which have AATC. This is the pathway that I took, option 1, because I had a lot of hours on accredited programs, ICF accredited programs, like, I don't know, Peter Hawkins, for example, that coaching center brought here in Belgrade. But it was like a lot of years ago. So prior to ICF created this accreditation for team coaching programs. So these are the two main pathways that we will be considering this evening. So hopefully this answers your questions, Sneža. So your path is option 2 for sure, since you are our alumni.
Or Sneža, we can go, the link I said is basically kicking off and I will share now that one, the application process. And it explains this as well, I think, in short, where actually we can apply. And so, yeah, actually Milena was on the same one. So you would go into this one, just create application. So let's check before I go on into this. I was going to take you through what I did shortly. I guess the preparation for the exam might be a subject. But let me check before I start that. Is there anyone else with some other question?
I have more.
Okay, go on, drive us.
So I know for ACC, for example, when we had a log, like a client log for collecting hours, I noticed that one of the requirements is 5 teams over the course of 5 years. Is there a log for that as well? Like, do we submit anything for it, or do they trust us on our word?
Okay, maybe I go Milena, because mine is, maybe yours was different actually, but I think from when we talked, it was the same, this part. So basically there is, they expect you to write what you did in these team coaching engagements, the 5. While doing this, they expect to see basically where you use competencies. So there's up to, I think, 500 characters, something that makes sense. It's like 1 paragraph. Milena prepared hers, and I can pull up mine as well. It's not like a secret. Basically, so they want you to explain. And for 2, you need from whoever engaged you, confirmation that this is the engagement that you did. There is a disclaimer in case, I cannot swear to this, in case you're not able to obtain, that then you would need to obtain some kind of a confidentiality, like because of confidentiality, I couldn't get for neither of these 5. But if you can, for the 2, basically just a letter confirming Snežana in this period did the team engagement with no details at all. They don't ask for any of that. But they do want details in the explanation of the engagements. Yeah, Milena.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just to add, because Sneža asked about log. Instead of log, you actually have here placed, this is my application. And there is also the sample application on the ICF site with more detailed explanation, what do you put where. But this is my log, so I actually put here, as you see, like start date, end date for each coaching. And so you have like a drop-down menu where you put some answers to the questions. They also consider whether like it was, you can even take a smaller part of the coaching. If you were like consulting or doing some broader project, you can extract only coaching and and put this as a proof of your, but of course, as always, only coaching hours. And this is what Tijana was explaining. I put in this log, let's say, if this could be called log on the application site. And then out of these 5, they only ask you, and you can only put 2, these team coaching engagement certification. since my certifications were through coaching center, this is how coaching center gave me a proof. So I extracted the names of the coaching, but this was the same, I guess, for Tijana. For you as well was like something like this. So
Yes.
this is the enough of information for this is something that the client can give you also.
Great.
And it's something required to be uploaded during the
Yes.
process. So it's
Yes.
like a must step. It's not like with the log for ACC, PCC, where nowadays you just confirm that you have 100 or 500 hours. It actually needs to be uploaded. Where the explanations of the team coaching sessions, this is maybe a technicality, but don't prepare any formal documents because it's literally copy paste. So you can prepare it for yourself in a Word, whatever, and then you just, in the space they provide, you copy and paste the text about it. There's no format. So like Milena is showing,
This
for
one.
example.
This is how I explain, and this is literally me talking about my what did I do with team A, and this is in I don't know how many, maybe 10 sentences per team. This is like how I described, like in general, what happened without actually showing any specific detail, maybe more that I use Peter Hawking's team questionnaire, that I use point of view.
Antonia, you have a question.
We have a question from Antonia.
Hello everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so great. Thanks for letting me ask my question. So basically, a quick introduction so I can ask my question. I'm a psychotherapist under supervision in a PLK center, like a constructivist psychotherapist, and I'm a psychologist. So, and I'm also very interested in starting my career towards a coaching path. So, but I'm a complete beginner. I don't know anything and I don't have any certification. So, in your opinion, is there any advantage or disadvantage with starting with team coaching? What do you think?
Let me answer in terms of the accreditation. For accreditation, you cannot, because for either of the paths, the requirement is that you need to be an ICF, AATC, or PCC coach. So if this is what is your end target, then no. If your need is to learn, then definitely yes. Definitely, huh? Milena, you're muted.
Well, depends on, and we have another question from Agatha, we saw, thank you. So depending on the training program, for example, Coaching Center, advanced program for advanced team coaching actually can bring you toward ICF AATC, and then afterwards you can, through this education, you can obtain individual coaching accreditation, and then afterwards you would be applying for team coaching accreditation. So it's like you can
build on top.
To add to Tijana's answer. So even if you want to learn, for sure there is no any obstacle, as Tijana said, why not? But also you can even go receive an accreditation as a team coach, but it would take you to first apply for individual certificate with ICF, and then you will be eligible for with the same education.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
that's
it's complicated, but it's easy.
No. You like said exactly what I wanted, and thank you very much for your clear answer. I just wanted to know, like, yeah, there is a traditional way, so to speak, when I get the accreditation and then build on top. So yeah, that pretty much answers my question. Thank you very much.
So ICF envisioned it. In my head, it makes sense. But in reality, if someone is not looking for, someone is only working with teams, it does make sense only to go for team as well. But it's not possible to get accreditation in that case. Agatha, yes.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think I had you kind of answered it, but it still comes back to me. So just quick introduction. So we are starting as actually with my also colleague, the now team course, team coaching course. And I already have ICF, the first level certification. I don't have accreditation. And to be honest, I wasn't really planning to have it. I didn't feel the need. I mean, it's just requirement of finding the hours and so on. But I'm still not clear from that whether it is a requirement, then I think what you just said, then to have individual coaching, like first accredited to be able to get team coach accreditation.
Yes, it is. By ICF, it is.
By ICF.
It's just the wording. ICF says accreditation for the programs and certification for people. So so it's just the wording. If you think about your personal certificate, this is what Tijana just shared. We all have to be firstly certificated as individual coaches. So we are eligible with ICF to receive this.
So is it a requirement for ICF to do team coaching? I mean, I guess for the certification only, no. But if I want to get, I was thinking basically, I don't need to do accreditation on the individual level. I can stay a individual level ICF certified and then do the course with you. And then apparently there's not a lot that I have to do, like there's few hours, and then I can get ICF team coaching accredited, or that's not possible.
Yes, Agatha, but it's don't require you in terms of chronology how you're doing this. But once you apply, as it's seen, I think on the screen now, to apply for the team coaching, you must already have the individual.
The certificate. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's one of the requirements for all. That's how they envisioned it. It's like a build on. The competencies are, I don't know what was behind it, somehow more.
Yeah,
maybe.
This I have all. Yeah, this I have
yes.
all.
So in this sense, one
just apply for program, and then the program will lead you towards the.
And then program will lead me, and then I do a bit of that accreditation element of a team accreditation. I can be accredited team coach without being individual accredited ICF. You know what I mean? No.
You can't.
Okay.
No.
So I still have to do the accreditation.
It's not something that you have as a person. You as a person can only have a certificate, which means you are a certified coach. They don't use at all a word accreditation. Accreditation is only for the program delivers. So if
yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm still, okay, I have to read a bit more because I'm mixing those two terms quite.
So do you want to be like recognized as ICF team coach? Is this what you want?
To be honest, I mean,
to create a program or on your own.
Yeah, I understand. That's when I was kind of searching for the explanation. The difference between certified and accredited was exactly that. But certified. If you actually look between certified,
people are only certified. People are only certified. We are all certified. So if you have ACC, it's
but ACC.
ACC stands for
accredited. There is accredited word. That's why maybe we're mixing it. I'm mixing it up. There is accredited in the ACC.
For the ACC, I think it's associate certified coach and then professional certified coach.
There is no
for the ACC. You can Google it. Yes.
Okay, that's maybe
and
why
then is master certified coach.
Yes.
And then there is professional, and then there is associate.
Okay.
And then
so I have a certificate from the course, but I didn't apply through ICF process to get me recognized or whatever that is. And this I have to do before I get.
Yes. Yes. So you're kind of the courses, the ones that you applied for to attend, is accredited by ICF, which is why via this path, then it's much easier to get your personal certification. So courses, education programs are accredited, and we are certified as people, let's say, if you, for those who want to have a formal ICF certification. So it's something that's yours. It has I think team as well has a 3-year eligibility, like the ACC, PCC, and they have requirements for renewal. So in my head,
Yeah.
It's always super easier. This is, let's say, Tiana's route, which she might explain a little bit later, but it's always easier to get any certificate from ICF if you go through accredited programs. This is why there is also.
But this I did. It's an accredited program that I have, but I have just the certification, like a diploma from them. And then I didn't at all do anything with ICF separately. Like I have.
You have to do this.
Okay. Okay.
So you have mentoring, you have to have a recording, you have to pass the test, then you get the ACC.
I just didn't do the test. I have all the other stuff. I just didn't do the test.
Okay, then even
So
easier.
probably, and just the hours probably. That's the difference that I did.
Yes.
And there is huge difference between individual, you need mentoring, but for the team coaching, you need supervision.
And this is part of the course that we're gonna do.
This is when you take our course, it's part of the course, but otherwise you have to manage on your own, which is a little bit more difficult. This is why it's easier.
Okay. I think I just got stuck with the word that get me confused on this whole accredited and ACC. I mean, I have to have ICC, which is not accredited. Accreditation is something else. And that's okay. I'm sorry to take that.
That's great. Now we all know.
Thank you.
Okay, so what are other questions? What are you curious to know?
So I'm curious about the test as well. So I've done the one for ACC clearly, but I don't know, does it test the ethic code and competences or something else?
Okay, so in terms of maybe I go as advice first, Milena. It's fresher for me. You did for PCC the old test, the one with the scenarios?
I did it for ACC, but it was the old version. So before they
okay. So
introduced
you
all
were
of the rules.
Where for ACC it was the scenario one. Okay, so basically in terms of the structure, they have it very nicely explained on the site. I think it's more valuable. There's not much I could add to that, and I don't know by heart the minutes and the questions and so on. It does have multiple choice and it has scenario, best and worst. Because you did the other test, and for the others it's credentialing exam for the individual. The scenarios level of difficulty in my head, it's like 70% of the individual in terms of the stress level and I don't know, level of ambiguity where I didn't know what is best, what is worse. In terms of preparation, there is, I think, less material than I only did what ICF advised, which is read the code of ethics and go through the competencies. There is that one document that has coaching versus other interventions. It's the two formal documents that are on the site. Maybe Milena will go to them. And that's the only thing I prepared. So it's literally, I think, 30 pages of written text, which I read like 3 or 4 times and, thought about it. I think Milena did less. But basically, you'd know it, especially being fresh from the course. I think it's very little on top that you would need. There are some, I concluded, I can't swear on this because I don't know how we could know for sure, but with some exchanges with people who have passed, my personal humble opinion is that the questions are not always the same, because when we remember the questions, then we're like, oh, when, I don't know, there was a conflict of interest here. And I know I would have remembered that question. There was something specific about it. And I know I didn't have it and the other person did. So that's why I concluded that most likely they are not exactly this, that they are somehow rotating. Basically, I have a few tips that stood out in my mind, which were very useful for me. One is to remember that always you're coaching the team. So there were literally 5 or 6 questions where they're driving you towards, you focus on one person, you do something with the team lead, you take away the whoever main person for something. That, in my view, you never get the right and wrong answers. I think, quite okay in terms of the result. I don't remember it, but you never know what you missed and what you got. So you can have that kind of a learning that I could share with you where I made the mistakes. But because I passed from the person, this was the most often, I think, most useful one single thing to remember was coach a team. Team is your client. That was a number of questions. So Milena, you wanted to share some questions, how they are, yeah.
While
competent.
you are talking, I'm sharing just info on ICF site, and here is like the basis for here is where do they take questions out of which domains. What I was, I'm not sure whether you said, since I was a little bit focused on searching on a website, what I remember is for those who know right now, how is ICF AATC test? It's like knowledge based. So you have like a question, then several answers, and then you choose just by the knowledge. And then for the PCC, it's all like scenario based, with right and wrong answers. So this test is mix of both. So you have like 4 parts, out of which 2 parts are like very simple questions, knowledge-based, which are much, much easier. And then those scenario-based is those that Tijana just now explained. It's very often around client being team as a whole. And this is where a little bit more tricky questions come from. But generally, going through their whatever they say on the site and reading those materials and focusing on this helps. And since I am as a mentor preparing both people for a new ACC, which is like easier, new PCC, which is a lot of which is demanding right now, I would say this is something in between. This is my feeling, that it's not as hard as for the PCC, but it's not as easy as it's now for ACCs. I'm sorry if not everybody shares this experience, but this is how I perceive them right now.
I think no one here, yeah, Neila passed the exam, but no one else did, so I think they don't have. Sneža, in terms of, I just was thinking back on what more I found useful was watched all the videos available. This was because they had time, and this I found useful on the team competencies that ICF has. It was added value, let's say, but basically if you have time, there's a number of questions that go towards like doing nothing. They don't call it doing nothing, but it's like a coach decides to leave this for later, or coach, pauses and, decides to, maybe they will address this separately or something like that, or let something go, which can be simplified transfer to do nothing. I consider these as like neither good or bad. I was being driven by this. It's never doing nothing is the best because you didn't intervene. Like we thought as a team coach, you need to make some change. But as well, it's not the worst because probably by doing nothing, you didn't really breach any of the competencies or, hurt any of the ethical codes, definitely. So this is as well one like a guideline. In my head, because you're fresh from the course and after just refreshing and reading through whatever, everyone knows their own learning style, the code of ethics and the competencies, it's much more important to like choose a good day, to be rested, to be concentrated. I think my English, well, yeah, your English is perfect, but mine is as well not bad. I still used almost all of the time. I think maybe 45 minutes I didn't. So I really needed it. It's not, you get automatically the 1 hour for the non-native speakers. You don't need to do anything in the process. They automatically assign it to you. And I without the hour, I think I would have run out of time. I was about there. So this is in my, like, be fresh in terms of slept well and so on. That is more relevant to passing or not passing than like, going through the competencies, maybe the 8th time or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about studying. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I'll do the studying, but it was more like, the experience, because I did the old version of ACC test, and then one of my friends who's a coach, she took the new one, and I know she was super stressed because I don't know if like for whatever reason she was super stressed, and they require now like nothing to be like you have to be on camera or whatever. So that was like added things for her that I know I didn't have to go through. So in those terms, like more of an experience rather than studying is fine.
Okay, then maybe we can reflect on this online live. Mariana did live, so we know a little bit of her experience. We can pass it on. And Milena, you did online like me, yeah?
I did online, yes, both PCC renewal and this one. So I don't have experience, but I have experience through people I did mentor. I believe it's really personality, like preference, something. So people who feel like it's cozy for them to be at home, like I guess Tijana and I am. Mm, they endure the struggle of having this. What is the name of this person, which is
Proctor, I think they call it Proctor, the
Yeah.
VU, yeah, the company that's they outsourced these people who watch you. For those who don't know, they're kind of there watching you, and you can't move away from your
Yeah.
camera and so on.
They monitor you. So, but there is a prep for this. So once you apply, you have to schedule your exam, and then while scheduling this procedure, which is prior to testing, you actually have really guide step-by-step explanation how to test your environment. And basically the most important is your Wi-Fi. And are you able to provide with a really clear room, clear desk, and because this is the main requirement, that you don't have anything and anyone around you, and your desk has to be clear, and your shelves and everything. So you just take your camera and move it all around, and that's it. And prior to this, you test your computer, your device, and the setting in home or from wherever you are, whether it's good enough for the testing. But for people who feel like they need more focus, I guess going into test centers is something which is better experience. I know Mariana had great experience with testing center. Once we had one alumni who had really loud surrounding in testing center, but this is only once. All the other people that went through testing center were really satisfied as well, as Diana and I were as satisfied as delivering it from home. So this is why I say I believe it's preference, wherever you feel safer and more focused, I guess. And most of both Mariana and other people share that most of testing centers in our cities, whether it's Novi Sad or Belgrade or Niš, I think these are our experiences. I'm not sure whether we know someone from another city. They said it's a great experience. You have enough privacy. You are welcomed by some person. There are other people getting tested for another reasons. So it's like a really regular thing. You receive computer there, link, everything. So, and then you don't think about anything, just delivering the test. So I guess this is what helps people who choose this.
Yes, I would share the same, that it's individual. It's for me, I forget about this person who's watching. I'm not even aware of them. For some people, it was stressful. But with the live, you kind of get all these technicalities out of the way. So I think, as Milena said, it's really individual. Both were okay for our alumni in Serbia. So what else? Who is in which phase? Like who is I know Snezha and there was someone else from the course. I am Marietta. Marietta, you're now joining, right? I think. Is someone else close to applying or something like that? Which phases are you? I know, Agata, your scenario, the complicated one, almost there, but not there. For me, it was enjoyable, really. And I know, Milena, you enjoyed it. But I like team coaching a bit more than individual. And it was maybe having gone through the individual, that's why it was really very little, if any, stress. And it made sense. The questions made sense to me.
Even though I took the harder route, this was the easiest experience of a certification, personal certification I ever had. So for me, like from perspective of like a service as a client of ICF, I would say they did the best job with this certification process, since I have 3 EMCCs and 3 ICF personal certificates. This was the easiest one to apply for, obtain, and it was like the most common sense, I would say. Like really, there is nothing that was like too much or like too picky or whatever, unnecessary. The way it was actually enjoyable for me to go through those, let's say, 5 scenarios of 5 teams, and since yes, we are also trainers and mentors, and it's very useful for us, this experience. But going through these experiences of coaching teams, since you can apply even from several years ago, it was really good for me to try to summarize in one paragraph and think through what did I do and how did I do. So it was kind of really useful experience even. And I am like super unequipped for any procedures and applications and for these, yeah, what is the word? Help me, Tijana.
I don't know, like procedural, step-by-step, something that's like administrative or something like that.
Administration. I'm like really unequipped for any administrative processes, and it was really like, for me, it was smooth also, and even
Not time consuming. Yeah. I applied, I think, on our Christmas Day because I don't particularly celebrate, and it took like, I think, less than 2 hours, the whole thing. So one, I just remember when Milena was talking, one important thing is if you're choosing your engagements, they're not very strict that it must be pure, the whole engagement, purely team coaching. So they allow that you are maybe doing some kind of another intervention, and then as part of it, something maybe that took a longer time and there was a need for team coaching. They even allow for that, which I particularly like, because very rarely in reality do people have 100% pure team coaching. We're partnering about everything for I don't know, 10 sessions and 6 months and like that. And sponsors are important. I just now remember they have, I would think, maybe 10 questions that relate to taking into account the sponsors and the stakeholders. Very big on that. It's not just the team, all the other parties. So that's
You're now talking about exam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exam.
Yes. Exam has questions about negotiating around team coaching and how we actually, which is great. They actually through questions acknowledge the process of partnering and creating the arrangement, which we also talk a lot on training, I would say. Because in team coaching, it's really an issue, because it's not like, oh, team coaching, let's go. It has to be really arranged with a lot of stakeholders.
Let's see some messages. I didn't see if it's question. Magette is saying it's the sound, but I have full. Is everyone else having trouble or someone else hearing me? I can try to move on the phone, but I don't have a third option.
Sometimes you're cutting off a little bit, but I mean, mostly we hear you. I do have another question on the client type, I guess. So actually 2 of the teams that I've worked with, we also did individual coaching. So there was team coaching, like fully on, but also I did individual coaching with a couple of individuals. Is that still acceptable? I would clearly just talk about the team aspect, but the engagement is going to be longer. So it's like a year or so fully, but the team coaching didn't take part throughout the whole year, for example. So I would still put that like a year and then focus on the team coaching aspect, right? Okay.
Yes.
And how detailed?
Because very often you do individual coaching. So it's totally okay.
Okay. And then for the description of the team coaching itself, so the scenarios, the experiences, for some of them are very fresh because I'm still working with them, so I can have more details. But then there are teams that I worked with like 2 years ago. And so I can't really think of all the specifics, but just giving it like a general overview on the things we worked on, the goals, what we achieved, that would be okay.
I don't think we have enough. You have so many characters, so you cannot dive into details, and I'm not sure you are expected, let's say, to share what is the goal. And so it would be a little bit, as a disclosure of your clients. So I think that like more broad wording and a little bit vaguer is more okay. This is my experience. I'm not sure what Diana thinks, but being a little bit, from a broader picture, you explain what is there
Okay.
and what were the dynamics, but not in specific details. Would you say like that, Diana?
Yeah, and I think it's quite good. I think naturally, because it's been a while, you will probably remember some specific segments that will maybe made the most impact on you. So just write as you would maybe do a bit of a self-check, like did I reach any competency by this in terms of when you read what you had written, which most likely you didn't. But there's no, like my stories are very different, where I have 3 sentences on one thing I found very important, and then the other scenario is complete. I found something else, the critical moment or some other insight. So I was really writing like what I did and my impressions about it. And when I had feedback, I wrote some feedback, things like that.
Okay.
Remember,
Thanks.
Sergio, one, because you're close to the test, one tip, another one is the sustainability moment. I think through the questions to keep in mind this, that whatever you're doing it with the aim to make the team be able to manage without you present with them. So there's some questions where you're like, like fishing, teaching people to fish and give them fish, that normally this answer is the more correct one, if not the best, depending on scenario, where you are giving the sharing what you see and making them capable with enough ownership, not ownership, but like, capability is the right word, to make this change sustainable for them without you being around. Because this is as well in the ethics that like coach should make themselves redundant. Maybe they didn't put it in those words, but kind of not dependent on you.
I think that goes for individual as well. So
yes,
understood. Thanks, guys.
So here is one description that I took, that it was like contracted as a part of larger endeavor, which was introducing coaching culture, that several teams. So basically, I just told the truth. Several teams were taking team coaching education. Several leaders were going through ICF personal learning and accreditation. It was 6 coaching sessions. They were lasting for 2 hours online via Zoom. We had one-on-ones prior coaching. We took 5 disciplines, Hawkins. Then I was saying I was using live coaching, role-playing, small groups, peer exercise, peer feedback. So I was generally explaining like more the dynamics of the project rather than what was the goal. As you see, I never mentioned what was the issue, what was the goal, who were the participants, was this like a senior leadership team, or now when I read, I don't even remember which team this was because I didn't put any of these specific details. I was afraid not to put something that my client wouldn't appreciate. So I didn't put even an industry or what type of the team they were, but basically the things that I was like thinking they would really be okay if I share this.
Same. I think ours were by I remember because we did first, you shared, mine ended up being similar, even though the scenarios were different.
Bye, Agatha.
Got it. Thanks.
Any other questions?
If you're hesitant to go towards accreditation, please don't.
Don't be hesitant. Yeah, it was for me as well. I was
even though you had bad experiences prior, please don't, because this is really like it's okay. So okay, I would say. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Tiana.
No, it was as well for me the most pleasurable accreditation I did, the least stressed and the most. I can't now judge on the value. I somehow believe that in team coaching there's even more ambiguity versus individual about what it is, what it isn't. So it's kind of a good way to differentiate yourself from this pool of people doing whatever with Teams. Okay, is there something you'd like us to share with you? Something you'd need after we part? I mean, we're available. You can write to, if in case whatever comes up, we'll be happy to support. It was recorded, so that the recording will surely share. I think we'll share with everyone who applied. So hopefully, if someone has a problem with that, please tell us now. But everyone who wanted to join this webinar today, but not, I think, not broader. But anyhow, if anyone has any issue with the sharing, let us know. Okay.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank
you
you.
for
It was a
sharing.
pleasure.
It's been super
Bye-bye.
beneficial. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.